In the gospel, we can see that Jews enjoy trick questions. Trick questions are those where whatever answer you give, you're going to be wrong. If you say yes, you get into trouble. If you say no, you get into trouble. And Jews like these questions because this is not the first time that they put Jesus forcing him to answer a trick question. Do you guys remember what other place in the gospel do they also offer Jesus a trick question? It's when they bring the woman that they found in adultery before him and they say, Lord, Moses says that she should be stoned. What do you say we should do? And you know what's the funny thing? Jesus also brings to the Pharisees a trick question. Do you guys remember? He asks them, the baptism of John, did it come from God or from men? So they're always back and forth with these trick questions, Jesus and the Pharisees. And today they ask him a trick question. Do we have to pay the tax to Caesar, yes or no? If Jesus says, yes, you have to pay the tax, he would find himself in trouble with especially the zealots, who thought that the tax was unlawful because the Roman domination was unfair to them. But if Jesus said, no, don't pay the tax, Jesus would get into trouble with the Romans. So yes, again, another trick question. But let's look at the solution that Jesus offers. Jesus says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar and to God what belongs to God. So Jesus is going to lay out very succinctly the same doctrine that later St. Paul will echo. Jesus is going to say, we ought to obey legitimate civil authority. And Jesus was saying, the Romans have a certain legitimate civil authority over the Jews. The Romans take care of roads, they take care of security, they take care of a lot of things that Jews benefit from. So it's, in a sense, necessary and lawful for them to pay a tax. But he's also saying, the authority of the Romans can only come to a certain extent. If the emperor is going to claim divine rights over them, then we have to recognize that certain things belong to God. But just one more observation that's very subtle and beautiful. Jesus asks the question, whose image can be found in the denarius? And they all say Caesar's image. So St. Augustine made an observation, and he's saying, in the same way that there is the image of the Caesar in the denarius, we can also see that there is an image of God within us because we're made in his image and likeness. So Jesus is also saying we belong to God in the way that the coin belongs to Caesar because he has inscribed in us his image. And so today we should remind ourselves, yes, we should give the money to the civil authority, but most importantly, we should give ourselves entirely to God since he has inscribed his image within us. In what way? He has made us personal beings. In the same way that he's a divine person or three divine persons, we are also human persons. And in that image and likeness of being personal beings, we owe ourselves entirely to him. So today, brothers and sisters, yes, as Catholics, we ought to pay our taxes, and we ought to be respectable and law-abiding citizens. But most importantly, we should remember that we're made in the image and likeness of God and that we belong entirely to him.